I am Winslow Sargent, Chair of the International Council for Small Business, ICSB. On behalf of the ICSB board, its members, President and CEO, Dr. Amal Mowafy, and immediate Chair, Engineer Ahmed Osman, I welcome you to the Willard Brown International Business Leadership Series webinar. This is a joint activity between the American University in Cairo School of Business and ICSB. AUC School of Business has collaborated with other academic partners since 2018 to create the Family Business Consortium in the Arab region, which support and enhances research and activities in order to ensure the continuous development and sustainability of family business in the Middle East and North Africa. I would like to personally thank Professor Sharif Kamal, Dean of the School of Business at the American University in Cairo. I met Dean Kamal during ICSB's World Congress, which took place in Cairo, Egypt, in collaboration with AUC in June 2019. We are pleased to have this support. The UN Department of Social and Economic Affairs, UNDESA, celebrates International Youth Day annually. In the year 2022, the theme is intergenerational solidarity. In Egypt, we know that more than 50% of businesses are owned by families. We also know that family businesses contribute 80% of national income, 75% of private sector activity, and provide 70% of employment of the labor force. Now you can see why it is especially important to support family businesses. One of the biggest challenges that a family business will face is the transition of ownership from one generation to the next. It is a huge step that requires a great deal of planning and proper corporate governance. Today, in this webinar, we will discuss succession planning from the first to the second generation, as well as how the principles of corporate governance can be used and put into motion. I'm looking forward to a great discussion. Next on our program, I'm pleased to introduce you to Heba, Zeina, Randa, and Amal.
Hello, thank you very much for the introduction. I'm Heba Ghobashy. I'm the owner and founder of Bash Couture and Fashion House. We started Bash 5 years ago. I started to have it as a family business 4 years ago when my daughter Zeina, my eldest, I have 3 kids, my eldest Zeina decided to join me 4 years ago, and we started to work since then, and we continue to move forward.
Hello, I'm Zeina. I'm Heba's daughter, and I'm also the co-founder of Bash. I studied graphic design at the German university, so that's my degree. I have a Bachelor of Science. And yeah, I've been working with my mom for the past 4 years, growing our business together. And yeah.
Well, thank you, Winslow. It's my pleasure to welcome everyone to our webinar. I am Randa El Bedawy, Associate Professor of Management at AUC School of Business. I represent the Department of Management at AUC Senate and the School of Business at AUC Council of Academic Integrity, and I lead Family Business Initiative at school level.
Greetings, everybody, from the American University in Cairo. It's a great pleasure to co-moderate this session with Dr. Randa El Bedawy and to be hosting Heba and Zeina. My name is Amal Mowafy. I am the Chief of Party of USAID Scholars Activity and Adjunct faculty member at the Economics Department of the AUC School of Business. And without further ado, I think you're coming to hear more from our speakers. So I will turn to Heba with a set of questions to tell us the story. How did Bash start and when did it start? What was your source of inspiration? Were there similar family businesses running that you took an idea from? Are there other members in the family than Zeina working with you? The floor is yours, Heba.
Okay, thanks. I started 5 years ago, actually, and my inspiration was my mom, my late mom. She, in the late 60s and early 70s, she had her own business. It was not a family business, it was her own business. She had also a fashion house and a couture atelier. She studied herself couture and design in Germany for a couple of years, or 3 years actually, and then when she came back to Egypt, she opened her couture house. I was young. I just watched her, but I didn't quite learn anything except when she stopped working. Then she used to do my dresses. She used to teach me a lot of things. It became something part of my life, fashion and styling and designing, but without me even noticing it. I had a career and I studied at AUC and did my master's in television journalism, which is something totally different. I worked for 8 years or 9 years in the media field, and then I had to stop because I had my kids, and then I decided to start working again. So I made a complete career shift, and I decided to study, just to do my own clothes and my daughter's clothes, and to study design, because this is something I've been taught from my parents, because usually if you want to start something, you need to do the proper research and have the right knowledge to start any business or anything you want to do and pursue. So I started my fashion diploma, and I studied, and then I was completely taken by it. I studied course after course after course, and I decided to do the diploma. Even after I finished diploma, I took online courses. So I found myself, I invested so much in the study of fashion and design. So I decided to start my business and open the brand.
Thank you, Heba, for telling us and sharing with us how did Bash start, and the floor goes to Randa.
Zeina, I would like to know more about the size of your business. How many employees do you have?
We have about 10 employees. We have brand managers, and we have as well the embroiderers, and we have the head of the atelier who is in charge of cutting the actual dress, and then we have another person who's right underneath him, and then we have me and my mom. So all in all, we're 10 people.
Okay, and having a bachelor degree of science in applied art and design, how did your education help you in running your business?
My education helped me a lot when it comes to being able to first manage my time, being able to being open to learning new things and being able to adapt to new situations, because in applied arts there are a lot of different sectors and things that you need to adapt to. So I was able to incorporate that into Bash. And also the idea of learning about design in general. Everything is kind of interrelated, whether it's a trend or ideas or concepts, things that are going on in the world today. Like they're all kind of interrelated in the world of design. So I was able to implement what I learned here and apply it to Bash. And also because my degree is graphic design, so I was able to be in charge of our social media page and handle our social media standing. And I was able to learn a lot about it in the process as well.
That's really great. Let me know, family relationships can bring love, commitment, passion, but sometimes as well, it can bring tension, conflicts, disagreement. So how can you balance personal and business needs working with your mom?
We have been able to balance it really well by finding who knows what, by finding each other's strengths and being able to listen to each other's opinions, but also knowing who has the final say in which department. So for example, my mom she has the fashion diploma, so she's more knowledgeable in the technical aspects of the dresses, how they're made, how they're designed. So she will take my opinion, but at the end of the day, she has the final say. And then vice versa is the same goes to me when it comes to social media and marketing, and because she knows that that's where my strengths lie. So we discuss it together, but she knows that the final decision goes back to me. So we each kind of split the departments, and we each have our own responsibilities, but we always give each other space to share each other's opinions and help each other out. So we both know where we stand, and obviously it all comes from love, and we both want the same outcome for the business. So with that comes a lot of mutual respect for each other's craft.
That's really great. And I'm leaving you now to Amal.
Okay, Zeina, so this is a fire chat, so we are sort of warming up, and I just wanted to go back to your teens. We all have been through our teens. In my case, that was a very long time ago, but in your case, that is relatively recent. So in our teens, we tend to have awkward relationships with our mothers, especially. And you're past your teens, but you're working with your mother. How does it feel on the human side?
Honestly, it feels amazing. Me and my mom, alhamdulillah, we've always had a very easy relationship. We've always gotten along great. She's always been my best friend and the person that I go to with everything, and we share everything together. So we've never had moments where we've clashed or kind of come to disagreements, and I think that's what helped us very easily come to the decision of working together, because we knew that of course there would be challenges, but we know that we have so much love and respect for each other, we'd be able to work together seamlessly. And so far that's what's been happening. I look up to her immensely. I look up to her more than anyone, and she inspires me very much. So seeing her work every day and learning so much from her is the greatest honor of my life.
Okay, so tell us, there are moments, is she a manager, is she a mentor, or is she a mother-in-law rather than a mother?
She's definitely a mentor. She's definitely someone who teaches me every day, and she's someone that I learn from every day. So she's definitely a mentor. In business, at home is a different story, but with the business, she's my biggest mentor.
And about the manager part, how do you get to feel the manager part in the business?
I get to feel it in the sense that she always knows when to kind of give me the space to create, and she knows when to kind of hold back. And that's why we always know how to manage our relationships between home and work. At home, she's my best friend. She's someone I'm comfortable with. We talk about everything. At work, we give each other the mutual respect that we both need in our departments. So we never step on each other's toes, or there's never any difference of opinion. And also it's easy with my mom because we both kind of have the same brain, more or less. Like I'm an extension of her. So anything she thinks, I will usually agree with, and vice versa.
And when would you disagree?
I think we usually disagree on small, little, minute details. For example, when it comes to the design of a dress, if there's something that I would like to look a certain way and something she would like to look a different way, we'll either take a third opinion or we try it out and see which one fits better. Like we kind of take a step back and look at it from a different perspective other than our own personal opinions. Like we see how this would benefit, and we would weigh the pros and cons, and we would kind of look at it from a different perspective just to be able to keep it fair. And then in other aspects, it depends on when we agree. So if we disagree, when it comes to social media, she trusts me enough for me to make the decision and for the final say to be mine. And then on the other side of it, when it comes to the technical aspects of when we design a dress, if we disagree with something, she knows that she's the one who has the final decision, and I trust her decision making and her expertise to, even if I disagree, I know that she knows best. So we kind of give each other that support.
Speaking of support and speaking of help, so how does she help you? Can you give us examples, very specific examples of how do you feel that, she's helping you or she's propping you up for the next level?
Yes, she always wants to make sure that I have all the information that I need to have. And I'm basically her shadow when it comes to work. I'm always listening to everything that she's telling the employees. If she's sitting with a client, I would sit back and watch and kind of see how she adapts with each department. And she always wants to give me all the information that she has. She wants to make sure that she's not keeping me on the back burner of anything. She wants to make sure that I'm included in everything, and I'm her equal, which sometimes means she throws me in the face of responsibility to see how I'm going to handle it, like putting me in a certain situation and seeing how I will integrate everything that she's taught me into the actual situation, and also giving me insights and kind of also in personal relationships with everyone in the business, and making sure that I'm the best version of myself in the business, and making sure that she takes who I am as a person and letting that shine in the business, and also teaching me all the skills that I need to know, like being very transparent with me and very open, and being patient, very, very patient with me, with not making me feel like I'm a burden or I'm someone who's she can't handle. She always takes the time to make sure that I'm comfortable and I know everything that I need to know. And if there's something I don't know, she has the patience and to sit me down and teach me everything that I need to know. So it's great to have someone who has a lot of insight to be able to learn from.
Yeah, and this can be a bit overwhelming, right?
It would be overwhelming if she wasn't someone who also gives me a lot of emotional comfort, because she's also my mom. That comes with a comfort in knowing that I can be myself, and I can make the mistakes that I need to make in order to learn. So that level of emotional comfort makes it definitely makes it a lot easier. And when things get hard, I know she's there for me and she supports me, and the same goes vice versa. She knows that she has someone who's not just a supporter in business, but who's also an emotional support, and that's something that some people might need when it comes to business, and that's what makes family businesses really shine. It's the emotion that's being invested in it as well.
Thank you, Zeina, very much. And over to Randa.
Heba, Bash Couture caters to various ages, working with Zeina and coming from different generations. So tell us what you two have been able to do together. Did it really help you that you two are coming from different generations to understand better your customers, satisfy better your customers?
Yes, definitely. It's one of the assets and one of the things that in the beginning, when I was 1 year by myself, because I started gradually to incorporate different services that we provide. We first started by styling and having ready-made clothes only for the first actually year and a half. And then we started to do the couture and to tailor for customers. And then we started the bridal line, ready to wear and customizing for the brides. So it started gradually, but it's a great asset. And we usually, we tried in the beginning to incorporate it in advertising and marketing for the brand, that it's easy for us, because sometimes most of the clientele are between the age of 18, 20 to 35, because these are the brides and the people who mostly go out and go to weddings. The older age, 35 up, we cater in a different way. So usually people, before they go to a place, they like to have the sense if it's a place owned by young people only. So maybe the older women will say they will not understand me, especially the couture aspect. But for us, it's different, because they know if the two designers are working together for the ready to wear and to customize, they're going, all the ages will feel that their needs will be met, because they are dealing with designers of two different age group. So I always thought in the beginning, before starting it, that Zeina would be mostly dealing with the young clientele, and I'll be dealing with the older ones. But actually, when we started working and we dealt with clients, we found that, you know, the young 20-year-olds and 25-year-olds are becoming my friends, and it's all about chemistry. I mean, it's
That's right.
but definitely it's I feel it's for us that we're working with women and working also doing special occasion dresses and the wedding dresses and so on, and so it's very emotional. So people, when they see that they can talk to the two different generations, it's an asset. And also they like to take opinion. Yani, I deal with the part of the clients more, but still I always, when I find with me a young client, Zeina always is there. So she likes to take her opinion as if she's her best friend. They are the same age. So it helps, and so it really has helped us in the past years. Yes.
That's really great. On another side, one main challenges that we are always talking and related to family business actually is family business governance, adding to the transition of business ownership from one generation to another. So can you a little bit tell us about any challenge that you are facing regarding your family business governance? And also would like to know more about your future plans for Bash Couture as family business startup.
Yeah, I actually, after I started, or before I started, even when I was studying fashion, I regretted very much that I didn't start this business when my mom was still alive, because it would have helped me a lot. Starting my own business made me realize how challenging it is to have your own business. And I started to really look up really highly up to anyone who has any business or is working on his own business, especially family business that was able to stand for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. The other businesses in Egypt or the Arab world that I see. And I definitely throughout the years have been always telling my children, Zeina and my boys, how really this is very important, because doing a business on your own, it's really difficult. Having a successful business, you have to really try. Yeah, maybe in the beginning you say, okay, I don't like my dad's business or I don't like my mom's business, but give it a try, because it's to find a successful business that already is doing good is really something that requires a lot of work to do. So why don't you try first? If you can't, okay, then you can, but definitely give it a try. And I always give them examples and show them that some businesses that they admire, and tell them, look, this person studied this and then decided to go work with his dad, with his mom. I always show them these examples because I really have a lot of respect for that, because I'm in the situation and I see how difficult it is to do any business. So why not, if all the family can each take part, like what Zeina said, the emotional part really will help the business grow more than if they were all individuals. And if I didn't have Zeina and I had, instead of Zeina, another person, even if he has more knowledge than her or is able to do more than her, but with Zeina, I guarantee loyalty and I guarantee respect, and I guarantee that she will be really has her heart into it. She's not just taking a salary. It's her own business, and I always make sure to let her understand this, that it's your business. Whether it succeeds or it doesn't, it's yours. So it should be more valuable. You should put more work into it. So that's what I try to do, and I pass to my other boys. The others are still young, so one of them studied business, so maybe he'll be able to help us in marketing, help us in checking our accounts, working with our accountants. But definitely I will try to do that, because I told my boys that if I'm not there one day or something, they should be helping Zeina, because it's theirs as well. It's their business. They should help in whatever way they can. And my oldest son has no sense of fashion whatsoever, but he's in business, so he can help in that. My youngest, he has a very high fashion sense, and he draws and so on. I encourage him and I tell him, maybe you should look at that. And he's willing to do that later in the future, but they're still young. So I don't know, but we'll wait and see.
So as a future plan, do you plan to let others join your family business? It seems so.
Yes, definitely, especially the accountant one, because I pay a lot of money to the accountants. For why not? I invested in that. So.
And that other joining your family business, what do you believe what will be a main challenge in this case, working all together?
I don't know. We'll have to try and see. I don't know. It's the characters. I think what Zeina said, I think maybe it will help a lot. It helped us a lot, me and Zeina, is what she said, is that dividing the work and knowing each where the last, here is my last word, here is Zeina's, we go by her word. We have to divide the work. You cannot have it, and I think even the big businesses, I think this is how they work. So nobody steps on somebody else's foot, and especially when we have meetings and we have stuff. That's why I was laughing when Zeina's talking. When we have staff meetings, usually I always talk to Zeina as if she's my daughter, and I forget that I have to have some boundaries. She's not my daughter here. The important thing is that they know is that if they fight at home or I don't know at work, they should respect each other and divide the work as if they are not a family. They each does his work without stepping on the other person's foot, and respect each other's decision. He's my brother, it's okay. I'll convince him later. I can do his work. No, it's just we're here to work, so every person has his own decisions to make.
Okay, that's great. Actually, very enriched discussions, but it's just time for Q&A. So I'm just leaving now the Q&A with Winslow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for that discussion. It was fascinating. I mean, there is so much there. And so now what we're going to do is I encourage those who are watching to use the Q&A, because we want you to engage, and because there's so much that both Zeina and Heba can share in terms of family business. The first question comes from the point of view of, with mother and daughter, there are cultural values that are different, and the language of the younger generation is different than the present generation. And so in terms of How do the skills of the youngsters change its definition to customize to our time? And so I'll read the question. So the question is, how can fashion be used to bridge cultural gaps between generations in general in society?
I'll answer that. Of course, we have this challenge every day. And also always I think it's been like this forever in fashion, is that always the young generation affects more the fashion world. People, you sometimes find older women or older men, and people, they like always to look up at how the young people are dressed, what they are doing. Sometimes actually it becomes too much. You find like middle-aged women trying to look like young people. So usually the young generation affects more fashion because it's new, it's trendy. All these words are very much young. So it's always people look at the young generation, what they like to wear. Even kids look at the teenagers, look at the 20-year-olds, how they dress, the models. Now they started incorporating the different body types, so it's not only for the model size woman, it's also many sizes and many ages. They try to do that, but it's always between 20 and 35-year-olds. This is always the age of fashion, as they say. But some people, but for the older generation, they say, okay, we cannot be dressed like this because we have to respect our age. But it's not always. People like to look young. This is how it goes.
Okay. Zeina, can you share your thoughts in terms of how, when you speak of fashion, how this can bridge the gaps of generations?
Yes, I believe that because similar to what my mom said, there's always a difference in mindsets as you go through life, like the different stages, your priorities change, things, your surroundings change, and all of that. So I think that it's right now, because of social media, people are starting to become more all in one place, all going through more or less similar things, being able to relate to each other more. Now the older generation can start to relate to the younger generation and start to kind of mesh both. It's not necessarily that the older generation is merging into the younger. It's kind of, we're both starting to find a common ground, and information has become easier to access. So even with anyone who has, because social media is unavoidable at this point in time. So everyone has access to whether it's trends or things that they enjoy wearing or something that makes them feel comfortable. It's all become inclusive in one area rather than social media being strictly for the young generation. Therefore, the older generation was kind of in a different part of it. They didn't have access to the information that we had access to. So therefore, there was a much bigger gap than there is now. So I think that the inclusivity of fashion is definitely coming from the like growth of technology, which is kind of putting everyone under one umbrella in a way, and we all have access to the same information.
You know, this is a really important topic that you just touched on, because there are a number of things. When I think of the youth, because Egypt is a very young country, and so the youth are growing and they're coming up. And so in terms of fashion, in terms of what's taking place, in terms of how you're going to influence the rest of the world, how do you think about intellectual property, because you know what we find in social media is that we tend to take from each other, and you're coming up with new brands and new styles. And how do you protect it so that someone doesn't see it and they copyright it, or then you'll see it in Italy or in America or someplace else, and you say, hey, that's Egyptian, that's my style. How have you thought about that?
I mean, unfortunately, right now there aren't many ways to be able to protect your work, because it is out there for anyone to take, and there is a fine line between copying and inspiration, and sometimes people don't know how to stay within the boundaries of inspiration and not being someone who's being copied. I think with big name brands, people, the more recognition you have, the more credibility you have when it comes to your work, whether someone is copying it or not. The growth of your business gives you that credibility, because unfortunately, the law will not always be able to protect you. So therefore, you kind of have to know when to accept and when to be able to just focus on your craft and do what you know how to do. And if you are able to see other people doing the same thing, then I guess imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So until we can kind of find a way to stop it, we have to accept it and also be able to allow people to get inspired by the work that they see and the craft that we put out. At the end of the day, we want to give people the ability to be as inspired as they could by startup businesses, local brands. So yeah.
So if I'm a customer and you make something for my family or my daughter, my wife, could I specify that I want that to be an original? So that you're not making it for someone else?
Yes, of course. We always give them the option to choose whether they want this design to be one of a kind, strictly to them. But if then we would have certain ways to protect that, so we wouldn't post it on social media, because then someone else can take that photo and give it to another designer and claim that we designed it, for example. And there's a lot of it's very risky situations that we need to find a solution for. So therefore our solution would be, okay, so we will avoid posting it on social media. We'll do everything that we can on our part to make sure that we give you what we promised to give you, which is something that's one of a kind, something that hasn't been done before. So that's basically how we try to weigh it.
Okay. Well, at the outset, I mentioned that 50% of businesses in Egypt are family businesses, and so Heba, you're a pioneer, and now you're starting a legacy that you've now handed off, and now you're working with your daughter, and so you're a role model because you took the chance and you took the opportunity to start a business. And so this next question is, do you think your sons are also learning from you, or even though they're not part of the business?
I hope so, because I hope they are learning, because that's the most that I wanted to teach them is work ethics and commitment to your job and commitment to your work. And because this is what I've been taught from my dad and my mom as well. It's a commitment. It's not that it's my own. A lot of things come under that. Not that it's my business, then I can wake up whenever I want and come whenever I want and maybe don't show up and have like a million assistants and, you know, it's my own business, let's have fun. It's the opposite. It's quite the opposite. And also to show them how I'm able to deal with people. And this is I worked for 3 years in my career with my dad and his business as well. He always used to tell me I wanted to see how I deal with people, how I deal with customers, how I deal with employees, how I manage the place. And then you can take it to another, if you want to have another business later in the future. But definitely you learn with your parent in their business a lot of skills that are not taught in school. The commitment and work ethics and how to deal with people, how that you have an employee, you're not like screaming at your employees all the time. No, you have how to have a system, how to organize yourself, how to have everything organized. That's very important. So a lot of ethics can be taught, and work ethics can be taught to both my sons. And this is what I told Zeina when she came to work with me, because she actually does freelance job, and she does work because her work allows her to work with different people, not only with my brand. So I always used to tell her in the beginning that here you will be learning a lot of things that will help you even if you're doing something else. You're not here only, or not in the fashion business or the fashion house only. No, this can help you even if you're working with someone. You see, what do we expect from our employees, what we need them to do, what we suffer from, what are the weaknesses of some of the employees, and how do we suffer from them from it as a business. So when they come, and even if they decide to work with someone else, then they know why things are done the way they are done, and why they're asked to do whatever they need to do. So I think that's very important. And like what Zeina said, and I mentor her, the most that I mentor her in is how to deal with people, how to deal with her employees, how to talk to them, how to set a meeting. If there is something that's bothering me about a certain employee, how I address it in a meeting, and how I talk to him, and how I correct him, how I solve problem solving. That's very important, how we solve our problems. If we encounter any problem, how to solve it. And I actually learned from them. By the way, I learned from them a lot, because they have a certain mindset that definitely my generation can learn from it. But definitely I learned from them as well a lot.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's a whole focus on entrepreneurship. As you know, their meetings, their conferences every day that takes place, and it talks about entrepreneurship, and you can be an entrepreneur and you can make it happen, but you have history and you're doing it and you're growing your business. What advice would you give to a young woman entrepreneur, or someone who's in college, or better yet, what advice would you give to your younger self, that if you were to be transported back in time, what would you want you to give to yourself? What should you have been told when you started the business?
I've been told a lot of things that I discovered that they were right as the years pass. And I always tell someone who's young and wants to do the same thing, and I always tell people that it's not easy at all. And it's not about only having the resources and the financial resources. It's about commitment, very much about commitment, about that you're ready to have when you work in a job, you go work from 9 to 5 and that's it. But when you have your own business, you have your mind and things you're thinking about, and you have to prepare for things 24/7. It's not the easy way out. I just make sure to let someone who's asking me, who's younger person, is it's not as easy as you think. And also I tell them, this is why I like to give always Zeina the experience, is tell them, not the first thing that you do right after graduation is like open a business. Work in a similar business, try to learn. And that's the problem we have in Egypt, especially in the fashion industry. Yani we don't have here Chanel where I can work and learn and then go open my brand, my couture brand. We don't have this. It's all small businesses, either families or individuals, but we don't have large couture houses, especially for in my area of evening and bridal and so on, where young people can come and learn and see how it works and then go open their new business. But if you have this chance, you better do that. You better go learn in the field where you want to start your business. Take a lot of experience, so to know what goes wrong, what happens here, what's the problem there, what's to be able to know what's going on before you say, okay, I'm going to start now and start my own business. It's not enough that you have the knowledge, or it's not enough that you have the money to do so. Your diplomas, all this is great, but you need to have real life experience in the field before, at least for 2, 3, 4 years before you start your own business. Because this, I had to rely on the information I have back in my memory from my mom. And that's why in the start I said I regretted very much that I didn't start this when she was still alive. And I relied a lot about my friends, other designers who have been a few years ahead of me. Of course, when you're a competitor, it's difficult to find someone who will give you honest previews and so on. But I'm lucky that I have a couple of my friends who's been there in the business before me. So they give me a little bit of insight. And I have a great friend of mine who's a fashion marketeer and consultant. Also, I work with her. But I usually always regret that we don't have this place where, I always had a dream that I wanted to go work at Chanel, even if I do coffee for them and pass it around the offices just to see how these great people work.
Okay. Zeina, when I think of fashion, when I think of running a business, it means that you have to spend time, and you got to put in the work. You got to work with customers. You got to work with your mom. You got to work with making sure the business is being run. But your peers some are taking vacations. They're traveling. They look like they're having so much fun. How do you have the foresight to say, well, my time will come. I need to put in the work now, because it's more important that I build a good foundation.
Yes, that's exactly what I tell myself. I always tell myself that I'll be able to enjoy life later. I work hard now, so I can have fun later, and it's easier to kind of do the heavy lifting when it comes to learning and giving up vacations and all that. It's in my opinion, I think it's easier to do that now than to do it down the line, because I don't have the big responsibilities of someone who's an adult, like someone who's in their 40s, for example, who has a family, who has kids, who I might not have the time that I have now later. So I need to take advantage of the fact that I have the time now to be able to put all my efforts into work and leave the traveling for later. There's always going to be time to travel and time to live all the fun times. And I mean, Cairo is also very fun. So at least that's what I tell myself until I can start traveling and everything. But it's definitely challenging sometimes. But I guess with COVID, it has with the timing of COVID, it has helped kind of reset my priorities and let me know that you're not always going to have the opportunity to do this. It could be taken away at any moment, and you need to take advantage of it while you have it, and later we can travel and enjoy life.
Okay.
Not that I don't enjoy life now, I do.
What I also wanted to find out too is that it seems like the relationship between you and your mom, you're doing well, but in family businesses, it could be very, very complex. There's some who are owners, who are silent owners, who work in the business, who do not work in the business. I don't know if your structure is such that in terms of ownership, whether you have some family members who are owners, but they don't actively partake in the business. But also there's some family members who, as soon as you have a business, they come and they want to, they may not be as helpful as they could be. How do you deal with governance? How do you deal with those issues?
For us personally, with our business, so far we've been able to kind of maintain it as me and my mom. But in general, if someone is having to deal with a wider scope of people when it comes to family and everything, I think they need to stand their ground. They need to be able to separate the family dynamic from the business dynamic, and being able to, the same way that me and my mom do, being able to have mutual respect for each other. And at the end of the day, is if something is not bringing you positivity, if something is not bringing you a positive lesson to learn, you need to find a way to isolate it. No one is going to take you out of a bad situation but yourself. If someone is not positively impacting you or your business, then you need to be able to set your boundaries and set healthy boundaries between you and the family member in order to be able to move the business forward. Because you can't sit back and wait for something to change that. If it's in your own hands to change it, and if you want to change something, you have to do it yourself. You have a vision for what you want the business to look like. You have a vision for how it needs to be implemented, how anything needs to be implemented, and also be able to know what you don't know. So if someone has more knowledge, if someone is, like I said, someone is adding positivity, learn from them, listen to them, know how to interact with them, know how to find a common ground between you and that person. It's all about being smart. It's basically all about knowing how to deal with different types of people. And with that can come a business member a family member who is going to try to have something negative in your business. So you need to know how to stand your ground and need to know how to be smart with the person that's in front of you, and how to be able to, in the most, I guess, peaceful way possible, come to an agreement.
Okay. Well, there's one more question before I hand it over to Randa. In terms of your business and growth and what are the growth and expansion plans for your business, and how do you make it institutionalized beyond family members?
What do you mean but beyond family members?
Well, if you're going to grow, it's a family business. Have you ever thought of how to grow it outside of the family, or make it, I don't know, a franchise, or just make it bigger?
Yes, we were thinking of doing that, actually. You're sort of reading our minds. We've been thinking of doing that because we were thinking of trying to open an international path to our brand. So we were thinking, and we're currently working on making a business plan for that, and try to get, not because I want to keep it as only in the family. I don't want partners or even partners who will have a say, or things like this, I will not be able to handle because I've been offered a lot of partnerships, and I don't think I will be able to work with this circumstance. But we were thinking of making like shares or doing something to try to attract more investors into our brand, not to work in the scale of Egypt or the Middle East only, is like to open new gates outside, because this is already a couple of designers, Egyptian designers, have done this in Europe. I was thinking of doing something like this in the States. It's easier for me than Europe, but still have the workplace or the workshop here, and maybe just have sort of participate in exhibitions or something, just to sell our products outside of only Egypt. That was easier before COVID, because there were exhibitions held in different Arab countries where exhibitors from Egypt were able to go and show their brands and have some international recognition. That slowed down really, of course, during COVID and after still. But we were trying to do something maybe on our own. So that's why we need investors to come in and maybe put a business plan and try to see what we can do, if we can work on some dresses here and put our collection on display in the States or in different places. Okay.
Well, this is fascinating. There's so many questions. There's so many things that we could ask, and you've been fascinated, but because of time, I have to hand it off to Randa. Thank you, Zeina. Thank you, Heba, for your story. It's fascinating. It's inspirational.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Randa?
so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Heba and Zeina, for amazing insights, Winslow for great discussions, and definitely for ICSB's co-hosting of this webinar, Amal for co-moderating and firing the chat. In fact, family business is a key pillar of economic development, social development, competitiveness, yet family business, in fact, is still a complex entity where roles of family, management, ownership can easily be confused. Different generations may share many core values, but still may differ regarding how to be expressed or even regarding how to be applied. In turn, a better understanding of generational differences is really crucial for survival and growth of family business. The alignment of strategy and family business governance with family members' goals is also essential to overcome the challenges of balancing personal and business needs, adding to ensure family business sustainability and growth. At AUC School of Business, we actually aim to provide a unique opportunity to interact, to connect with leading researchers, practitioners, and academics to advance knowledge and research regarding success models and best practices for family business, adding to explore challenges, opportunities for business, family business development and growth. Thank you all again for great insights and constructive discussions. Looking forward to more future collaboration with ICSB on the theme of family business. Thank you all our audience joining us online from around the world. Let me remind you as well that a recorded version of this webinar will be available. It's just the start. So many to come, so many webinars, activities, events related to family business. So stay tuned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.